There is a further thing I want to look at when we are using equalization. So I'll click on the header for this channel and then choose the EQ View option button. You'll remember that previously we looked at using the low cut and high cut options to remove the very lowest frequencies and the highest frequencies. We also utilised up to 4 of the available bands to adapt different frequency ranges too. For the very low end, for example, utilising band 1 and then perhaps dragging over to the right to shift the frequency area higher, and then activating the low cut option, we could stipulate how much of the low end gets completely removed from the signal. However, there might be occasions where you want to retain some of the lower frequencies instead of removing them completely. Well, we can do that by utilising what is known as a shelf cut. If I deactivate the low cut button, then of course the horizontal line above reflects that. Inherent low end frequencies are brought back. But you will have noticed between band 1 and that low cut button, there is another button. This is the shelf button that allows us to cut or boost the band 1 stipulated low frequency range. I'll use it in this example as a shelf cut option. With it activated, we now see the horizontal line dip in volume, but not completely remove all those low frequencies. So, in effect, what is happening now is that frequency range, stipulated by the band 1 button, is now attenuated in volume by a few decibels. This option merely reduces the low frequency volume level. This contrasts with the more severe removal of those frequencies when the low cut button is activated. Notice that, when you deactivate that button, low frequencies are still attenuated, but they are confined to the range and amount controlled by the band 1 parameters. Activating it once more links the band 1 option to the shelf cut here. I will deactivate bands 1, 2, 3 and 4 so we more clearly see the relationship between the shelf button and band 1 once band 1 is activated again. Now I can drag the band 1 node down to attenuate all those low frequencies stipulated by the band 1 frequency dial, and across to the left to the very lowest frequencies. Remember, using the low shelf here to attenuate the lower frequencies means that those lower frequencies still do remain, but they are at a much quieter volume. As a reminder, compare this to how this looked with the low cut button. I'll deactivate the shelf and activate the low cut option. Incidentally, having the low cut button activated, and the shelf button too, provides a slightly different full roll-off of the lowest frequencies. I'll deactivate the low cut button so we see the more gentle attenuation again. Of course, the high-end shelf works across the top end, but focused on the top frequencies. By activating band 4 and the related high-end shelf button, we get to gently adapt the highest frequencies. By dragging the node down, we slightly attenuate, without completely removing the higher frequencies, and starting at the point where the band 4 frequency dial is set. Obviously, similar to the low cut and shelf options, deactivating the high shelf whilst activating the high cut instead means we completely remove those higher frequencies. Keeping your eye on the frequency plot line helps us visualize how the frequencies are being adapted. To quickly deactivate all frequency changes, click the reset button found up here. Confirm this, and we flatline again to indicate no frequency alterations now occur. By the way, a way of checking how any frequency alterations have changed the sound is by deactivating the out-in button here. With it active and changes made, we would hear how it sounds. To quickly hear how it sounded in its pristine state, and without the need to reset the bands to off, simply deactivate here. The graphic retains the band changes, but the signal does not get altered. Right, we'll leave it here now that we've understood the concept of using the shelf option.